Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Dr. Catherine. Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, excuse me. Okay, I will introduce Korea's national case study regarding uh, Cape Town Agreement, and also this morning it is quite notable that to take the lectures from Raphael about the importance of safety. It's quite notable to see the cultural mindset of each stakeholder, not only government side, but also fishers and then all the stakeholders' culture to appreciate the safety is very important. So my presentation will deal with the Korea's experience to ratify Cape Town Agreement, but also my presentation will focus on the some Korea's effort, Korean government effort to enhance the safety, the regulatory framework, and also the other way of the effort to increase the cultural issues of the safety. Okay. Um, okay. Uh, Here's is the main point of my talk. Uh, Korea used to focus on many whether fishing vessel meets the technical standards. Now we are taking a much broader view, four things working together: safe vessel, safe fishers, and safe fishing operation, and data-driven prevention. Each one is quite matters, and I think they only work when they work together. Start with the international framework, Cape Town Agreement. I think Dr. Calgary from IMO deal with this issue very detailedly, so I would not go into too much detail for this one. But as you quite aware of that, from February 2027, the CTA will be effective in globally. So it's just 8 months away. So for Korea, because we ratified it last December 2025, this is not future issue for Korea. It's happening right now. As you know, CTA covers 6 areas: vessel, hull, and structure, and its engine, and electronical systems, and fire safety, and life-saving equipment, and communication systems, and inspection and certification. I think this Cape Town Agreement is kind of a safety passport for large fishing vessels. Without it, fishing vessel might be stopped and held at the foreign ports. That can be a serious consequences for any fishing state. Korea officially joined the CTA on December 23rd, 2025. I think it's a very proud and major step forward. Our distant water fishing fleets were generally in reasonably a good shape to implement Cape Town Agreement, but there is some gaps actually, to be honest with you. The older vessels and crew accommodations that needs to be upgraded, and inspection systems that didn't yet match international standards. I was in the review task force team to ratify this Cape Town Agreement with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries. And then while we had an interview with the related industry, and then while we implementing research, the Korean distant water fishing industry had generally no problem to ratifying and implementing this situation. But I think because we started to review this process during the COVID-19 situation, I believe we participated Torremolinos declaration in 2019, and then after that we are started to review process. But I think it took quite a long time because last year we ratified it. So I think the reason is internally, even though we reviewed the kind of evaluated the implementation future, but some changes, translation issues to Korean legal languages, and then the compare the coherence with our national law took quite a long time. So, like I said before, the Korean government updated two key laws internally and domestically: the Distant Water Fisheries Development Act and Fisheries Vessel Act. We also have, in relation to this one, we have a vessel safety fund, especially for the fishing vessel, and then that covers up to 50% of a new fishing vessel construction costs as a interest-free loan. 7 new vessel was built under this program between 2019 and 2025. This is, I'm talking about the distant water fleet modernization program just before. On practical, just a moment, sorry. On practical side, Korea is updating construction standard, modernizing safety equipment, and introducing new international safety certificate, and using Korean register KR as our authorized inspection body. The near-term focus is port state control readiness. Because from February, like I said before, February 2027, Korean vessels in foreign ports will be checked against CTA standards, so we are preparing for that. Now, I will talk about more about the C-188, because I have been talked about the vessels, but now I will talk about the people on board. Here is a simple way to think about it. CTA asks, is the fishing vessel safe? However, C-188 asks, how are the fishing workers protected? Korea's eventual goal, I believe, is to answer both questions and to connect those two frameworks into one coherent system. You can compare two pillars. C-188 is, as you know, about the people, working hours, medical care, accommodation, and pay and social protection. Korea has been reviewing whether to ratify C-188 with a focus on wages, working conditions, and the right of a foreign crew on fishing vessel. That process is still ongoing. 6 areas have come up repeatedly in our review for ratification of a C-188 in future. First one is employment contract. I know that some of the delegation, while we'll have a focal group discussion, it's a very similar issue. We had a discussion on this one, so I'm sure you know this one very well. So employment contract issues and rest hours, which is very important and very meaningful to the process to ratify C-188. As we mentioned before, fishing activity is very concentrated and intensive the labor. So in sometimes we work over 10 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours. So at least 10 hours rest, securing 10 rest hours is very important, but in some way a little bit hard in some way. So third one is access to medical care and accommodation on board and safety during the deck work and social security coverage. This all is very common thing with when other country is try to review this C-188. We have very similar issues on this one. So these are everyday realities for fishers spending months at the sea. So to enhance the situation and ratify C-188, I think the Korean government started to pilot program for distant medical care and treatment by doctors inland with onboard communication system to the seafarers and fishers on board. And we think this is quite a successful program. So Korean government to try to expand this program to other distant water fishing vessels. Now, I will a little bit talk more about the numbers. This is about the fishing accident. In 2024, approximately 2,000 out of 3,000 maritime accidents in Korea, That is 66% involved in fishing vessels. It's quite a large number. And deaths and missing persons reached 164, up 74% from the year before. The main causes is engine failure and collision, force overboard, and fire. I briefly cover each one to show what is driving our policy responses. The first one, here is something that surprised many people. Korea's biggest safety problem is not large distant water fishing vessels, it's small coastal fishing boats. Over 5 years, 93 people died from the fall overboard, and 91% of those deaths happened on small coastal fishing vessels, often operated by just one person with no one to call for help. And second, engine problems caused 27% of all maritime accidents between 2018 and 2022. This issue isn't just old, is about old machinery. It's a cultural thing of skipping maintenance, especially on small vessels, where sometimes vessel owners feel they can't afford the time or sometimes the cost. And third one, collision casualty for small vessels doubled in 1 year from 85 to 170 people between 2022 and 2023. Unfortunately, not keeping a proper watch or not following basic navigation rules are the main causes. I think better technology and better way of practice are both needed to deal with that. Wearing a life jacket is the cheapest and the most effective way to prevent deaths from falls overboard. And yet, many fishers still don't wear one. Korea now requires and make it mandatory to wear life jacket on vessels, even to a very small vessel with just two or fewer crew. And we are promoting inflatable life jackets that are lighter and more comfortable. But regulations alone are not enough. Again, we need a culture where wearing a life jacket is just normal, like wearing a seat belt. And large share of workers on distant water fishing vessels are foreign fishers. As you know, their safety is directly tied to the working conditions. Korean government continue to upgrading the working conditions. I will explain on detail on this later. Before I explain about that, I will explain Korean agencies involved with the accident inspection and report. Five agencies share responsibilities for fishing safety in Korea. First, Central Maritime Safety Tribunal under Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries investigate accidents and produce official statistics and report. And COMSA analyze data and lead prevention work. And MOF, Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries, handles laws and policy, of course. And the Korea Coast Guard respond to emergencies at sea. And SUHYOP, which means Association of Fisheries Cooperatives of Korea, support fishers with guidance, insurance, and education and training. This system works, but better coordination between agencies is something we are still working on. Korean fisher accident insurance covers injury, illness, and disability and death during fishing, with government subsidies for coastal vessel premiums. The key recent change is that extending mandatory coverage to a small vessel under 3 gross tonnage, the smallest boats, which has the but high risk and which were previously left out. This is direct response to where the accidents are actually happening. Korea provides very equal social insurance to both Korean and foreign fishers. Health insurance, accident compensation, and fishers insurance and minimum wage all applies regardless of nationality actually. And the legal gaps has been narrowed significantly in recent years like this. What remains is still implementation gap, making sure those rights are actually felt by workers on board, especially migrant crew far from the shore. Korea uses multi-agency approach to inspect fishing vessel labor conditions. So MOF covers vessel conditions and then onboard welfare, and Ministry of Employment and then Labor handles wages and labor rights, and the Korea Coast Guard deal with criminal issues like forced labor, and Ministry of Justice Immigration Service manages foreign crew entry to Korea. Actually, Korea does not have one single agency responsible for labor inspection on fishing vessels. We recognize this, and we need to make effort to do this to be more coordinated. For foreign crew, Korea currently provides interpretation through professional interpreters, phones and video services, and multilingual forms and sometimes NGO support in some cases. But the gaps are clear. Interpreters aren't always present during the inspection. Confidential interviews are limited, and many workers are afraid to speak up, as you know, due to visa concerns. So in terms of C-188, it sets standards, which is accessible complaints, private interview, legal support, and protection from retaliation. I think that's the where we need to get into. So regarding Korea's C-188 ratification, as I mentioned before, Korea is under review on its ratification. In terms of this, it is true that Korea have made real progresses. For example, social insurance broadly covers all fishers, laws have improved, and the agencies make effort to work together. But four main challenges still remain. First one is we need a stronger joint inspection across agencies. And second, we need to make more coordinated labor force inspections. And third, we need to make better support for migrant fishers. More proper interpretation and private interview support and easy complaint access is needed. And finally, we need to track outcome more, not just the legal upgrades or the compliances. So, for example, injuries, wage disputes, and working hours, and especially rest hours and living conditions. So I will talk about the way forward. Looking ahead, Korea has 5 clear priorities. We need to build a safety culture. Like Professor Bamra talked about, the culture is very important, but it's some way to go from Korea's side, to be honest with you. So regulations don't save lives on their own. And then we need to use data to prevent accident. As you know, AI covers all industry. There is no exception to fisheries. So I did not go into too much detail about this digital issue and then AI issues, but to prevent the fisheries accident, it's time for us to think about more, to use the AI tools to find out how many accidents happens and then what is the region or analysis for the region and the location. After that, we can deal with the fisheries-related accident in the future. So using the AI tools more in future is definitely needed. And more protection for a small vessel. Sorry. Like I said before, forge overboard and collision and engine failure on small coastal fishing boats are our most urgent problem. So we need to collect more specific information, like I said before, and data on these problems and have to deal with it to overcome the situation. Sorry. And Also, we need to strengthen fisher welfare continuously, better labor protection for all fishers and including foreign crews. On CTA, we need to prepare the full compliance for distant water fishing vessels by February 2027. So in conclusion, we can't make a fishing vessel safe just by regulating legal standards of the safety of a fishing vessel. We need safe vessels, protected workers, and good practices on deck, and strong emergency responses and smart use of data, all working together. The CT covers the vessel, and C188 covers the worker. The real challenge is connecting them and having the will to fully comply with it. Korea is still on its journey, and we have come a long way, but there is much more thing to do. I hope our experience, the progresses, and the honest gap is very useful to all of you. Thank you so much for your attention. 감사합니다.